Saudi teachings on women's freedom are also being spread in Regent's Park Mosque's official bookshop. They're selling the religious rulings known as fatwas of the top official Saudi scholars, such as Sheikh bin Baz, the former Grand Mufti. The rulings say women are mentally inferior.
Men are superior to women in general.
And restrict their right to work or travel on their own.
When women go to work in the workplace of men, it is in clear opposition to the texts of the Sharia that order the women to remain in their houses and fulfill the type of work upon which Allah has fashioned her nature.
And it tells fathers they can marry their daughters off before they reach puberty without their permission. Last year, dispatches showed how Saudi religious rulings like these were being spread throughout major mosques in Britain. The Saudi Arabian government told us it was not involved in spreading a fundamentalist message and said,
"There is no such thing as a Saudi Arabian religious establishment."
So we asked the experts.
There are people in Saudi Arabia, especially at the level of government, who deny that there is such a thing as a Saudi religious establishment. But this is an absolute myth. There is a religious establishment. It's a bureaucracy that is in control of a lot of institutions in Saudi Arabia.
The Wahhabi religious establishment are constantly indulged as the co-rulers of the Saudi government. They control some of the most important levers of power. The Ministry of Islamic Affairs, the Ministry of Pilgrimage, the control over the judiciary, the control of most of the educational system.
The religious establishment is headed by the country's most important clerics.
Council of Higher Ulama or religious scholars is a body that is established by the state, whose main function is to issue religious opinion, but it is also responsible for overlooking the functioning of all other institutions. And the Saudi government has a bargain with the religious establishment. It allows them to control the social sphere, morality, or the public space. In return for that, they get subsidies, they get their salaries, but also it gains their acquiescence.
So the religious establishment in Saudi Arabia is an integral part of the system. Whether the ruling elite admit that or not.
The Saudi government has spent billions of pounds spreading Islam around the world.
During the reign of the late King Fahd, only from the 70s to the mid-80s, King Fahd has spent $75 billion funding schools, madrasas, mosques, charities throughout the world.
Official Saudi websites give the figures.
The result is some 210 Islamic centres wholly or partly financed by Saudi Arabia. More than 1,500 mosques and 202 colleges and almost 2,000 schools in non-Islamic countries.
Saudi funding has a huge effect on British Muslim life, according to some Muslim commentators.
Saudi Arabia has immense influence in Britain through their support of mosques and imams. When the Muslim community came to this country, they were not organized and they did not have enough resources. So they went to Saudi Arabia to collect funds. And through that thing, they were able to influence, propagate their ideology all over this country.
Many preachers in Britain have been trained in Islam in Saudi Arabia, like Mira, whom our reporter filmed preaching at Regent's Park Mosque. She spent 3 years studying at Medina Mosque. This is the official website of the Saudi Ministry of Islamic Affairs. It prints the sermons of Saudi imams and gives an idea of some of their teachings on non-Muslims.
Fellow Muslims, following the kafir is disgraceful, while disobeying them is mighty. When a kafir dies, the whole of humanity is relieved. Beware of taking them as friends. You should hate them, disown them and their religion.
This Saudi imam is overcome with emotion while reading a Quranic verse cursing Jews and Christians. Saudi books with the same message of segregation continue to be widely available in Britain, such as these official fatwas sold in Regent's Park Mosque bookshop.
The enemies of Allah are the disbelievers. It is necessary to avoid mixing with non-Muslims, to like them, to love them, to support them, or live amongst them.
We found Saudi Arabian religious teachings being spread at Britain's Central Mosque, which is run by a Saudi diplomat. This is another Islamic institution in Britain, funded by Saudi Arabia. The King Fahd Academy in West London is an independent day school for 500 Muslim children, run under the support and supervision of the Saudi Embassy. Dr. Al Dubayan, the head of Regent's Park Mosque, sits on the board of trustees. In 1998, the school started teaching some of the pupils the same official education curriculum that's taught to children in Saudi Arabia. Colin Cook is a Muslim convert and worked at the school as an English teacher. 18 months ago, he was dismissed after raising concerns that some of the children were cheating in exams. But this year, he won £70,000 for wrongful dismissal at an industrial tribunal. After he left, a contact still there passed him official Saudi textbooks from the school.
The books carry the stamp of the Saudi Ministry of Education.
The books teach that other religions are worthless. One quotes a Quranic verse.
Those whom God has cursed, he turned into monkeys and pigs.
And in a footnote says,
It is said that the monkeys are the Jews, the pigs are the infidels of the table of Jesus, the Christians.
And another passage sets the children a test.
I read that the books were asking the children to describe the repugnant characteristics of the Jews, and I found that repulsive and appalling. I believe these textbooks will poison the minds of anyone that reads them.
The King Fahd Academy said it agreed that the passages were inappropriate, but said that they had never been taught at the school. The books had now been disposed of, and the Saudi curriculum had been phased out altogether. It said the passages on Jews and Christians related to an Old Testament event. It does not imply or infer that this is a general comment on these faith groups today. It said Ofsted had found that its pupils showed good empathy and tolerance of others' views. Every year, the Saudi ambassador to Britain, Prince Mohammed bin Nawaf, holds a conference with the British Foreign Secretary. He says the aim of the dialogue is to promote tolerance and mutual respect.
That the theme of this session is focusing on how each community perceives the other and how to promote positive views and mutual respect. Our young people need to discover in learning about one another.
But the British government's policy on tackling radicalism and the message being spread by Saudi theology are incompatible, according to security expert Professor Anthony Cleese.
What the British government wants is for British Muslims to feel part of an inclusive British society. Now, what the Saudi version of Islam is saying is that Islam is not just a religious identity, it is also a political identity. And that they should resist, that it is right to resist being assimilated into mainstream British society.
If you believe in Wahhabism or if you are a supporter of Wahhabism, then basically there is no integration, meeting of two sides. There is no respect for the other side. As a consequence, we have seen Muslims becoming isolated and marginalized.
By the government's own thinking, separateness makes it easier for British Muslims not to regard Britain as their homeland, but as the enemy.
Next, our reporter goes undercover in a third major UK Islamic institution to get first-hand evidence of the kind of Saudi material being spread in UK mosques.